team, and welcome to the EZNZ podcast.
Yeah.
I was going to say the week, but I've lost track of what week of the podcast it is.
Oh, that's a great week. 29?
29? Wow.
29. Really, it should be week
26?
30.
30? Okay.
We've missed a couple.
We missed a few.
We've missed
It's
a
all
couple.
Hannah's fault.
It's okay. Hey, mate.
Yeah.
All right. So we have only ever missed recording of podcasts or uploading of podcasts because we've been away. And that's been no different. So there may be a little bit
bit different, because when you were away and I was here, we still did a podcast.
Yeah, well, so funny story about that.
I
genuinely thought I couldn't find the camera battery anywhere, and I thought that Fletcher had accidentally taken it to London with him, so I couldn't record a podcast, or I could have done one, but it would have been like on my phone or something, would have looked real naff.
Yeah.
Fletcher got back from London in the weekend. He searched his house high and low to find the camera battery, came back to work, and it was in the bag. It was just in the camera bag.
And,
so that one, I'll take that.
I'm just pulling Hannah's leg anyway.
But the charger was at your house.
You just made me look like
I admitted
a
my
really
mistakes.
nasty person.
It's alright.
So,
it's alright.
Maybe it's because I am. And I just don't know.
True. So last week was no different. We have been on a small tour of this great nation of New Zealand, just delivering the good word out to our retail friends in time for Christmas. And then next week, I haven't told you about this, but this is my idea for our podcast next week. I promise things and I deliver things. But Fletcher and I, leaving tomorrow, we're going on a grand tour of the South Island of New Zealand. So we're going to Christchurch, Invercargill, Queenstown, and Dunedin, which involves a lot of driving around. So maybe we'll do a different kind of a podcast
next
with
to a waterfall we find on our adventure.
Yeah, our thoughts on the road.
Okay.
Our thoughts on the road is going to be good. I'm glad, because that's what I've just promised the people.
That's good, because sometimes in these podcasts I don't actually know what's happening.
Fletcher, you may or may not have guessed, doesn't get much of a say in things.
No, that's okay.
Bless him, you're a patient man. Alright, so let's kick into it. We've got a few things to talk about today. First up, we do have a question of the week, which we're going to revisit. We haven't done that for a little while. Then we're going to talk about the much awaited Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yes.
In that case, it'll be me smiling and nodding my head, which is going to lead the conversation.
We watched a few videos on it, just because I'm dying to play it.
Yeah.
And the whole time we were watching the videos, I was just like, Henny, you just want this to be over right now.
Yeah, why don't you understand how awesome this is?
No,
I'll get there.
I know you will.
I'll get there.
I think if we do get a chance to play it one day, we won't be able to film it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Because by the time I get the game, it'll be old.
Yeah, it won't be quite as exciting.
Yeah, so.
And then, lucky last, we do want to talk a little bit more about your phone. From the new Windows update as well, and how you can access some stuff on your Android phone, on your Windows 10 PC, and all kinds of other things. But first off, let's start with question of the week, which we haven't done for a long time. So thank you so much, Jay, for your question. We'll be seeing you in person this week, Jay, which I am very, very excited about. In fact, by the time this podcast goes up, we would have seen you in person, so that's very, very exciting. Maybe as well on tour, Jay, we're just already promising you in there, but we'll have you ask us a question of the week for the next podcast. Ooh. Don't know, we'll see how he goes. Sorry,
he doesn't know about that yet.
He doesn't know about that yet, so we'll see if he's alright with that.
That's a semi-promise. We'll do a semi-promise.
We need him to agree. Yeah. So our question from Jay this week is, if you had the opportunity, what question would you ask Satya Nadella?
Cool. It's a hard question of the week, I thought at first. You know, there's a lot of things we could ask, but what I would want to ask, because like we say a lot in our trainings, I'm a nosy kid who's always like, but why? But why?
Me too.
I'd want to know, like, where he sees Microsoft as a company in the consumer world in 5 years' time. What our focus. Like, I particularly want to know from that, though, what type of technology we're focusing on, and just how we're going to evolve.
We haven't discussed our questions yet, and mine was literally exactly the same that I had in my head.
Because I'm super curious. I want to know, are we going to go further down a WMR track? Are we going to be looking at something like virtual machines?
Yeah.
Getting more virtual, because they're pretty much non-existent in the consumer space.
Yeah,
they're very much a commercial thing. you know, or are we just going to keep evolving our computers, our PCs, and making them even more badass?
Yeah. I saw an amazing YouTube video, which is a comprehensive interview with Bill Gates and Steve Jobs.
Oh, yeah.
And it was really, really interesting. I'll link it in here. But it was really incredible listening to them years before it happened. I think it was in the very early 2000s, this interview. And they're talking about things like tablets and smartphones already then, which I think was very, very cool to see that happen.
Do you guys know that, I think it was, we might have to fact check, but I'm pretty sure it was in 2000 that Microsoft released the first touchscreen tablet for Windows. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to have to fact check.
You know where I learned that?
Where?
Pimp My Ride.
Okay.
Back in the day, they used to put Windows touchscreen tablets in the cars.
Cool.
Yeah, so we'll fact check the exact year, but it was in the early 2000s.
Wow, that's really cool.
A long time ago now.
That's really cool. I was at an event a few weeks ago. I promise you this is relevant. Promise you guys this is relevant. But I was at, it's not usually. But I was at an event a few weeks ago, and they had an amazing speaker from a company called EZNZ Tech, and he spoke about exponential growth and exponential technology, and how kind of things progress at an exponential rate. How many times can you say the word exponential in a sentence? But things are progressing at an exponential rate, and we're currently approaching. We're currently approaching the top of that curve, and kind of maybe one of the last times we were approaching the top of that curve was when the iPhone released. So, for example, technology's been kind of. I thought you were going to go way
back and be like when Rome was building the aqueducts.
No. But we're progressing at a rate where we're seeing new generation of products come out, and they've got some kind of small steps forward or like leaps forward, but nothing that's been like crazy, wildly different has taken over society and the way we do things, quite like, you know, using a touchscreen smartphone has. So things like that. So apparently we're very much on the verge of that level of technology now, where like our brains are programmed to only comprehend so much, right? Yeah. So we're at the point where we can comprehend kind of minor changes in the terms of this exponential growth curve, where we can comprehend those minor changes of sort of iterations of technology. But we're now at the point where we can't comprehend the next big thing. I know
as well that a lot of bottlenecking into, you know, making more smaller technology, not more smaller. My West Auckland is coming out there. And a lot of technology is getting to a stopgap, and I know this was a conversation at least a few years ago, because we physically need to come up with new materials to make silicon chips and stuff smaller. Because they're so small and so efficient now, they're almost at that peak. So,
and I find it really interesting, even with that, like we got really obsessed with making stuff smaller. Like, do you remember it was a Motorola phone and it was like a little cube and it flipped out?
No, I don't remember.
Hopefully I can find a picture of one, but it was around a similar time to the Razor, where it was... No, so it had like a screen and then like a call and a home button.
Yeah.
But then I always wanted one. My friend Sky at school had one, and it was super cool.
Shout out to Sky.
Shout out Sky. But yeah, like it just like flipped open like this. It was really cool. Hopefully I can find a picture. Hopefully some of you guys know what I'm talking about, because Fletcher obviously doesn't. But you know, that was, I think, you know, or even... you know, a phone that could fit on your keyring and stuff. Like, that was kind of the goal of how small we wanted things. And now we're seeing things like the iPhone X and that kind of stuff, where we actually want technology to be bigger because we want to use it in multiple platforms and all of these kinds of things. So I'm very interested. I didn't know, you know, New Zealand, well, I did know, but there's certain things I didn't know about. New Zealand is really a pretty cool home for trialing technology and doing different things.
Such a small marketplace, right?
Such a small marketplace, but I think that we've got good old Kiwi ingenuity.
Number 58, what?
Yeah, for like we have a New Zealand company called Rocket Lab. They're not like super new, but like little old New Zealand has entered the space race. I didn't know this, but down in Christchurch, down in the South Island, maybe we can try and find them while we're there later in the week. But not only like driverless cars, I think is kind of the next big incomprehensible thing. We're just going to talk about that.
Okay.
But as a part of the speech that I heard the other week, the next thing he was talking about was essentially driverless planes. and they're currently creating and trialling those down in the Canterbury region here in Little New Zealand.
That's cool.
So that's really like crazy.
It's quite interesting that you bring up driverless cars because over the weekend I was reading quite a lot about it and some of the morality that has to go into building driverless
I can imagine,
cars.
yeah.
So we're going off on a tangent, but I'm not going to let Hannah tell me to shut up.
Thank you for your question,
But like, there's so many little things like if there's an unavoidable accident. Does the car aim for someone if they're going to hit someone who's younger or older?
Yeah,
Do they hit the older person because the younger person's got more life to live?
Yeah.
Like, there's a whole bunch of. I mean, that's crazy, right? To think that. They have to program something like that into a car.
That's crazy,
and each company is kind of taking it differently, but it's quite an intense topic of conversation right now.
Yeah, that's crazy. And I think, like, even once again, like here in New Zealand, it's been a thing around many parts of the world, but like basically in the last week, the new Lime scooters have taken Auckland by storm. I don't know about the rest of the country, but I see
everywhere. Literally everywhere.
Absolutely everywhere.
If you guys don't know what they are, they're little electric scooters you can rent.
Yeah, and it's done by an app. You scan it, it unlocks, and then vroom vroom, off you go. But like, so we had the Onzo bikes at first, and now we've got the Lime scooters. I had a look on the app because I was so curious. Like, it's relatively cheap. Like, I think it's 30 cents a minute or something to
Even
get from
cheaper
A to
than that,
B.
isn't it?
No, I think it's 30 cents a minute.
Oh, wow.
Do you have the app? Did you look it up?
No, because back in the day, there was like first half hour free on the bike.
It's something like that,
$2
actually. Yeah, you get
for,
something like that. But you can use your electricity at your house to charge them, and you can make money by doing that.
So could I take one out to West Auckland with me?
Yeah, like take a herd of them, charge them at your house, make money, and
you
then
see
people
me
can
like driving along the side of the motorway
with like 100 scooters. But absolutely crazy. So I think that's very, very cool, and I think that I think what Satya Nadella has pictured for the next 5 years is probably completely different to what I have in my mind and what you have in your mind. Maybe I'm missing something, I don't know.
Because obviously he's at the top of the Microsoft business. He's our CEO. And we're big technology companies are hugely almost segregated into chunks. So we're consumer, there's commercial, but then you break down consumer into, like there's development teams whose job it is to look into the future. Same with the commercial side. There's server, there's devices, there's software. It's crazy, and he'll have some sort of oversight on every level of that business. So, very well informed to tell us.
Absolutely. I think that would be very cool. So sorry you didn't get two different questions out of that, but I'm very excited. I think that's a very cool conversation, which I absolutely love having all the time, especially because you see different people of different ages having kind of such different thought processes on these sorts of things, like TV series like Black Mirror and all of that kind of stuff, where you have a chip where you can kind of play back your memories and relive your life and all kinds of crazy things.
God adds someone as a friend. There's so many weird different technical conversations.
All kinds of amazing things coming.
So, should we do a quick 5 minutes for Red Dead Redemption 2?
Let's talk about Red Dead Redemption 2. Alright, Red Dead Redemption 2. As I said, I'm just going to sit and smile and nod.
Okay.
Fletcher, take it away. Tell us a little bit more about this awesome game.
Absolutely.
I've seen it on every bus stop. I've seen it on every billboard. I've seen it everywhere.
I saw it plastered in all my feeds over the weekend. It was good, which makes me insanely jealous because I don't have the game yet. I've got to get permission from the wife for that. I don't blame her though. It's a $95 investment from some companies in New Zealand at the moment. So and I think got to shout out Game Pass there. Unfortunately, this game isn't available on Game Pass. But when instantly, as soon as you get used to not having to pay for the game on day one, as soon as you hear $95, you're just like, it's so much. It's like
$10.95 a month really is nothing.
It's 8 months of Game Pass for us.
It is. It really is. All right, sorry. Tell us more about Red Dead Redemption 2.
I'm gonna set the scene. Set the scene of Red Dead Redemption. It's not really a spoiler alert if anyone's listening, because you encounter this straight away in the game. But in Red Dead Redemption 2, You're no longer playing as John, the old character. You're now playing as Arthur Morgan. Of course, John. Oh no, I can't spoil that in case someone hasn't. So you're playing as Arthur Morgan, and he's part of a gang. So it's called the Van der Linde gang. And the game starts place after the Van der Linde gang and Arthur Morgan has just gone and had a robbery that's gone wrong.
Okay.
So now they're being chased down by federal agents, those marshals and stuff like that, and bounty hunters, because this is in the Wild Wild West. It's in
so the game, 1899, so that was a very long time ago, which is really interesting, going from like talking about technology in the future to taking like a wild step back to a horse and cart.
Absolutely.
And,
But I think it's such a good follow-on topic, because 1899 was when the Wild West was, starting to not be the Wild West anymore. It was starting to just be the West.
Yeah.
All these people were coming, all these migrants were coming over from Europe, and the game does a really good job, from what I've seen so far, at still having those Wild West elements, but also showing that those small frontier towns are now becoming cities.
Right.
The electricity's coming in.
Cool.
And that's changed the way that you play the game, which is awesome. So,
how long has it been, Fletch, since the first Red Dead Redemption
2010, so 8 years.
8 years. So I know that
It's
this
crazy.
has been such a crazy popular franchise, and this has been a very much awaited game. So the internet is going wild at the moment for this.
Absolutely. I mean, it's from Rockstar Games, so it's from the people who make Grand Theft Auto as well. So it's very much in that theme. You've got an open world. You're playing as a character. You can dress them up. You can buy guns. You can go on missions. Do all sorts of stuff. But the new elements in the game are amazing. So because you're part of a gang, and your gang's on the run, they set up camps. And so you help support them in this camp. You can, hunt for food for them. So hunting, store mechanic. You can get cash for them in different ways and help it develop. You can get to know individual gang members, which is cool. And then that unlocks different snippets of the story.
That's very cool.
Secret parts of the story you can then go and engage in. And then, of course, they can come help you on certain missions, which is awesome.
And what I like about that kind of game mechanic, I know I'm not much of a gamer, so like this is obviously kind of just stating the obvious, really. But by being able to interact with different people in different ways, you can play the game again and again and again, and it's not going to be exactly the same each time.
So good. It's one of my favorite things, and it's cool to see it just develop to so far. I know there's a mechanic that you really like that caught your eye.
Yes. So in the gameplay trailers that we watched, I think the thing that really stood out to me was even down to the way that you interact with your horse. Obviously, you have to build relationships with your gang members and the people around you. But if you don't groom your horse every now and again, your horse isn't gonna be on your side. It's gonna react differently in different situations. Gunfight,
so it might try to run away with you on it.
So all of these different kinds of things. It says different horses do better in different scenarios. Thank you, Fletcher. Even like right down to that small little detail, I think is very, very cool.
And it's cool. Obviously, we haven't played it, but they were showing different scenes as they were talking about this. So it looks like you can get multiple horses and like even have big cart pulling horses, which help you camp and stuff, which is awesome.
Very cool.
So in the first game, you're able to tame wild horses, which was cool, and you could actually get a few different horses. I remember when Undead Nightmare came out, you could get the 4 horses of the apocalypse, which was pretty cool.
Pretty dope.
But this one, you get down into that relationship and you really train and actually follow the horse for its development rather than, cool, now you've got a different horse.
Yeah.
So very, very awesome stuff. You can very much... your game is guided by your moral compass as well. So you can decide whether you want to be, evil, a bad guy, or if you want to be like a paragon, going into that Mass Effect terminology, which is cool. It's very cool. And you see it affect the whole game. So whether you run into random people and you've done something to one of their family members and now they want to fight you, or, they run away from you because you've known as a bandit who robs a train, or you've done good things and they decide to help you out and support you. You can like greet people as you walk past them. Sharpshooter, the kind of like focus mode like VATS and Fallout has
Yeah.
gotten a lot more advanced. It actually looks far more similar to VATS and Fallout now, which is very cool.
Right.
So being able to highlight and target different people in slow motion and then release it and it takes them down in that order. So it was definitely a part of the old game, but now it's in more depth.
And I think, obviously 8 years on, technology has developed a lot since then.
Absolutely.
So features like that have really been defined in the... Is defined the right word?
Yeah, refined.
Refined. There we go. Refined in the last 8 years to kind of really maximise that awesomeness and make it look super beautiful and amazing. But I do. Let's talk about this for a little bit.
Okay.
Obviously, it's not an Xbox exclusive, so this game is available on PlayStation as well. But why would you play this game on Xbox? Why would you go out there? We've already seen raging success with people purchasing this game with an Xbox One X. Why?
It's because Xbox One X is the only true 4 gaming console out there, right? And if you guys follow a lot of different gaming pages, whether it's on Reddit or Facebook like I do, there were just so many, screenshots or photos taken in the game of just awesome scenery, awesome backdrops. That's why you'd get it on an Xbox One X, because this game is designed to be played in 4K. I was reading, and it's one of 2 games, the other being To Be Near Automata, which was we talked about a little bit for E3. Or we might not have, but we would. So. It was in the E3 trailer for Xbox. Right. It got announced. They've really gone down that 4K track with it, so that it's future-proofed.
That's awesome.
Rockstar quite often support games for a long time, like we see with GTA 5 still going strong, where you can mod it and do all sorts. So they've future-proofed it, and in the meantime, it means it looks amazing on the Xbox One X.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
like I even just watching the gameplay trailers and stuff, kind of not in full 4K.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Like, it is a very well polished game. It looks good, and having that true 4K gaming experience on your Xbox One X, I think in 2018 is kind of the only way to do it.
Yeah, unless you've got a redonkulous PC which costs 3 times as much.
Yeah.
Then your One X is the way to go. But I think that's enough talking about Red Dead, because we want people to experience it, and
if you have already played it, we'd absolutely love to hear what you guys think of it. What are some of your key call-outs? Maybe we'll start a little petition here so Fletch can buy it, or if someone wants to donate it to Fletch, he's
oh my gosh.
No, but don't. All right, what else do we have to talk about today? We want to talk about your phone.
I know we've talked about your phone, like you said.
We talked about it briefly a couple of weeks ago when we talked about sort of the full updates that were coming to the October update in Windows. Some of my personal favourites being the new snipping tool, Snip and Sketch.
Yeah.
Oh my, it is awesome. I clip stuff from the web, I clip stuff from other documents and stuff all the time. So that's really revolutionised the way I do things day to day, as I anticipated. I love it. I think it is awesome. But Fletch, you have been using your phone a lot.
Yes, so...
And we've been talking about it a lot as well.
Yeah, it's a very hot topic for us because it is part of the October update, and we're obviously near the end of October now.
Yeah.
So we've talked about your phone, and we've also talked about a few other different bits and pieces, like Continue on PC and the Microsoft Launcher on Android.
Yep.
And we wanted to revisit them as a whole now because they are so powerful together. So
I think there was kind of a quick breeze through before we'd used it, and before we'd heard about how awesome it was going to be. But now we've actually had the chance to play around with it and see how it works in action. It's even better.
It's really good, because I think I've talked about WhatsApp as well, so this is an extension to me of that capability. So I still text a lot of people rather than using like messaging clients, and
I feel like I must be just an old woman or something, because texting is still like my number one form of communication. Like, I wouldn't, if I met someone new and I needed their contact details, my first thing would be to get their phone number.
Yeah.
Not to add them on Facebook or WhatsApp or Snapchat or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think even with us, we text a lot.
Yeah,
if we're not in office, because in office we use Skype or Teams.
Yeah.
When we're out and about, we text a
Yeah.
lot, which is just how I
Yeah.
prefer to do it, if
Yeah.
I'm honest. So yeah, like it's a great extension of that. I've got a WhatsApp group with some of my close mates. We've got a WhatsApp group
With our wider
for
team
our
at work as well.
But yeah, because I use text so much, obviously that is super useful. It's super convenient. Like humans love convenience, right?
Yeah.
That's why we pay more when we go to the dairy or the corner shop, whatever it's called. Where are you from?
7-Eleven.
7-Elevens, the servo. So yeah, we go and we pay more at those places because it's convenient.
Great point.
So just having something literally on your computer so you don't have to pull out your phone is convenient.
And I type a lot faster than I text.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Like you type faster, all that is awesome. That's something that's really great. But the fact that you can have your last 25 photos as well is...
Yeah.
I think, like, until you start using it, you underrate the value of that.
I totally agree. I have, over the years, now I use OneDrive a lot more, but definitely over the years, I've been that person who will email things to myself.
Yes.
For example, we do a lot of events and then we summarize those events. We need to show off all the wonderful pictures, tell people how many people attended, all of those kinds of things. But everybody loves a good picture-heavy report because the picture says 1,000 words. But, previously I used to email them to myself or I'd upload them on OneDrive, but that's just that extra step of, going up and then coming back down onto another device. So with your phone, as you said, the last 25 photos, how do you access them?
It's very easy. You just open the Your Phone app. If you're on Wi-Fi, the same Wi-Fi network as your phone, they upload. So it doesn't chew through your data. It's actually
Very
fast
cool.
and efficient. That's why we're not using, Bluetooth. Because Bluetooth would be very slow at having 25 photos upload. It's like you say, it goes back to that convenience, right? Like not having to go to different sections, being able to claim our expenses straight away. Anyone who has to do expenses, it is so much easier.
Taking photos of all your receipts.
But you brought up great points with experience night and stuff. It's all about that convenience. And when you kind of look at that and you pair it with some of the other things we've got right now in the phone world, it's super exciting, and we've said that before, but it's getting more and more exciting. So I'm an Android user, so I'm extra lucky.
You're on it now, you're available. I'm still waiting with my iOS, but it's okay, it's coming early next year.
Absolutely. 85% of smartphones in the world are Android, if you want to know. That's why it starts with Android, also because it's, an operating system that's designed more, it's easier to design for. Whereas
and more
iOS, it's very much about polishing it all, which is totally fair. So that plus Microsoft Launcher, which I really like, guys. Like Microsoft Launcher is amazing at mirroring my computer pretty much. So I can take photos, I can see what my most recent photos are, what my most recent OneDrive photos are, just by swiping to the left from the home screen.
Really nice and easy.
I can see my calendar, my planner, I can see my last access documents, because obviously I use OneDrive and SharePoint, so it's all nice and synced. So I get a very easy snapshot of what I've been working on, what I need to access, and what I access regularly, no matter where I am. Which is really great. Like, I can't undervalue how powerful a tool that is. But I just like even little things like the way its layout is. I like my apps being in alphabetical order.
Really nice and easy.
It's so much easier to navigate.
I have found definitely... I used to have a 64 gig iPhone, no, a 16 gig iPhone.
Oh no.
Yeah, exactly. Oh no. So I was having to delete stuff all the time. I now have...
I don't even
Maybe
make
now
them
I have a
anymore.
64 gig. See, that's a smart idea to not make them anymore. But I've now found that I can have way more apps than I used to. Some are in folders, some just look real messy. And I always forget where stuff is. So I really like the idea of, alphabetical order, that kind of thing, instead of having to scroll through pages.
It's so good.
It's just a really great idea.
And it has lots of other little things built in, like I believe it actually has Continue on PC built into it now. I had it anyway, so when you finally couple it with that, and I use Edge on my phone
Yeah.
because again I just like the way the browser works and it lays out on my phone.
Yeah.
That's legit the only reason I use it on my
Yeah.
phone is because I love how easy it is to see what tabs I've got open, how easy
Yeah.
it is to access. It's not one of those ones that's like it has a deck of cards. It
Yeah.
actually has them side by side, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So it makes it way easier to navigate. And then with Continue on PC, being able to pick up exactly where I left off. That compatibility is amazing now. And that's
Yeah.
why we really wanted to highlight it now, right?
Yeah, and I think when we first spoke about it, and every time I continue to talk about it,
Yeah.
I think that the biggest thing to point out here is that this is a cross-platform.
Yeah.
I think that at the moment we kind of see that maybe take it for granted a little bit.
Yeah.
But I know, Apple have been incredibly successful with iMessage and all of those kinds of things. People really buy into that ecosystem because they can sync all their devices and use all of that. But the fact that now you can have a choice in what you're buying, especially, if you get given a Windows 10 PC from work and that's your PC, you can take it home and use it in your personal life, great, but you've got an iPhone or you've got an Android phone. Or you've got an Android phone and you can't use an Android tablet for everything you do, you need some other kind of device. Having those being able to talk to each other, as you said, for a matter of convenience is super powerful. We've been doing a lot of training where we've been talking about this feature, and even from 3 years ago when Windows 10 first came out, I couldn't tell you what that looked like. Like, Windows has evolved so much in that 3-year period that I honestly think by this time next year, we're not going to have to talk about features like your phone. Because people are going to be using them all the time. People are going to, have that level of expectation where, hey, I can do this with my device.
There's one more thing I want to talk about when it comes to like your phone. And
Absolutely.
everything like that.
Absolutely.
And I think you've actually hit it on the head, and that's what we've talked about a little bit of lately is how we don't like the word and the idea of an ecosystem.
I hate it.
So
it's now following. Gimmicky was my first thing in this industry where it's just like, shut up. But now ecosystem is the next one where I just think we need to abolish that thinking and that mindset.
Absolutely. So what we mean by that is, if you had a Windows computer, the ecosystem that would have once upon a time been talked about was you have to have a Windows phone to go with it. Same with Apple, you need an Apple device. We don't want that anymore. Like we say, technology is about convenience. It's about devices working together, even if they're cross-platform. And like we've kind of talked a little bit about why we don't like an ecosystem, but I've got one story which really annoys me. Because I used to have an iPhone, right? So I used to use iMessage. Now I've moved on to Android, which I personally prefer. And I think a lot of people are doing that now. But I obviously using iMessage, certain people on their iPhones are now set to always send that phone number or message with iMessage. And so because I don't have an Apple iPhone anymore, that's not good. That's really frustrating.
So, like, do people try and message you and then you never get the message?
Yeah, it's only of all my close friends, it doesn't matter. This person isn't close at all, but I noticed, like, that when we were actually doing a Christmas party last year, someone's husband messaged me about where the event was because we were already there. And I didn't even see it until, like, a few months ago. And I was like, that's just annoying. That's why we shouldn't have ecosystems.
That's
anymore.
a great point.
So, little things like that, when they try to lock you down into it, it goes away from that convenience path in the end. And that's what I don't like. So, that's kind of what I'll end on.
And I think I'm very excited, and I think even bringing it back to what we talked about at the very beginning of this podcast and kind of that exponential growth in technology and where we think things might go in 5 years, I really don't have a clue. I'm really not sure, but I'm very excited from what I've seen in the last 5 years of where it could go. And I think that what we're talking about here with kind of breaking down those barriers and those ecosystems and I guess people's perception and allowing people to have more of a choice on what kind of device they use for the kinds of things they're going to use it for, and all of that kind of stuff. But we would love to have some more questions
Yeah.
from you guys. For question of the week, we'd love to hear your thoughts. If you've played Red Dead Redemption already, Red Dead Redemption 2, we'd love to hear about that. Make Fletch a little bit jealous. Tell us what you
Yeah,
think.
absolutely. I'll get 100% jealous too.
Yeah. 100%. And if you have any questions to ask us for podcast on the road next week,
Yes.
and if you've already used your phone, tell us what you think and what you would find it useful for as well. But until next week, I think that's us.
Yeah. See you later, guys.
See you next week.